Well, you too, random person. Hello, everyone. We are Team BPZ. I'm designer-producer Donnie Torrey. This is designer Eric Eucler, programmer Adam Reed, and artist Rebecca Whitley. And this is Crisis of the Superverse. Now, what is Crisis of the Superverse? Let me answer that with a question. Have you ever dreamed of being a superhero? Well, Crisis of the Superverse is a new comic book fighting game where you take the role of one of 6 different superheroes to fight in a cross-dimensional battle. And instead of just talking about it, we can jump straight into it.
Which champions will they choose?
Now, this is our character select screen, which is set up like a comic book. We have all 6 characters, each character based on a different famous decade of comics. For tonight, Eric will be playing our speedy adventurer Lightspeed Lass, and Adam will be playing Major Marvelous Defender of Justice. Now, oh, that's really low. Now, this is our stage select screen with 6 different stages, each one tied to a different character representing the home world they're from. And tonight, we'll be in Major Marvelous's own Seagull City.
This looks like a time for justice.
Now, as you see, it starts out looking like a traditional arcade fighter, with 2 players facing off against one another in the best of 3 rounds, with the ultimate goal, of course, being defeating their opponent. However, the way our players achieve this is quite different. In Crisis of the Superverse, we never use the face buttons on the controller to fight. Instead, we use our new dual-stick control system for players to accurately and easily switch between 12 different kinds of attacks, ranging from high and low punches and kicks, and strong and light attacks. Doing this allows our players to easily string together combos and control a fight without really having to memorize a whole sequence of buttons. Now, as you might have noticed, our bar up there doesn't really look like it's set up like a traditional arcade health bar. Now, this is because we use a new tug-of-war battle system where players fight with each other to gain control of the middle marker.
You need to answer to mine.
And then push it to their opponent's side, as you just saw, to knock them out of the fight and win a round. This allows players to have a tug-of-war fight that you see in most superhero movies or comic books where the hero starts off losing but then comes from behind. We want to give our players that feeling of being able to almost lose but then come back and feel like they really deserve to win. Now, under that bar, we see our different energy bars, which looks similar to a traditional arcade fighter, except for ours are split into 3 tiers, each representing a different special ability the character has. Starting with, from the outside, the first tier lets you shield. It lets you block any attacks coming in. However, you can only block as long as you have energy. Damage takes away your energy, and if you have no energy left, getting hit actually hurts you even more. We decided to do this because we want to give players the chance to block, but we don't want them to only block the entire time. Now, the second section represents our combo breaker mechanic, which, when a player presses both left and right bumper at the same time, they expend their energy and send their opponent flying, which allows them to break up the fight. Now, the last bar, which is my favorite, is related to each character's unique superpower. First, by holding left trigger and aiming with the right stick, it brings up their aiming reticle, and then hitting with the right trigger activates their attack. Major Marvelous uses his signature nuclear vision, which sends out a laser that damages opponents initially and then over time. It drains his energy. Whereas Lightspeed Lass uses her Lightspeed Dash to control a fight and go straight through her opponent. We designed these differences in our characters so that their character designs would also reflect their gameplay. So people would look at Lightspeed Lass and she's a speedy character, so before they even play the game, basically know how she would work. We'll let these guys finish up their fight quickly to show how intense the tug of war can get. As you can see, it can get a little intense, but it's really fun to play. But now, why did we decide to make these changes from a traditional arcade fighter and go away from the mechanics that have been there for years? Well, we'll find out right here.
Clicker not working?
For our target market, we wanted to focus more on gamers ages 14 to 25 who have been interested in the fighting genre, but have been alienated by the high difficulty curve. What we wow. The fighting game genre has currently cornered the market on itself, really not being able to bring in new players because they don't want to stray away from their old mechanics that they've had for ages. What we want to do is create a game that is a bridge for new players to come in, ones who typically the only fighting game they've ever played has been Super Smash Brothers. So we want this game to act kind of like a missing link between the easy to pick up, hard to master style of Super Smash Brothers, but still have arcade components such as Street Fighter. For inspiration to do this, we actually looked at EA's Skate, which, even though it's not a fighting game, it brought innovation to a stale market by using its also two-stick control scheme. It actually was able to outsell its competition of Tony Hawk's Proving Ground 2-1. Now, big question: why comic books? I like that answer. Tell you the truth, Eric and I are huge comic book nerds. We love comic books. We love reading them, we love everything about them, so we are determined that we will not do this wrong. Also, comics have a lot of history to work from, with a lot of inspirations to pull from over 6 decades. And with each character being based off a specific decade, we can take the key components seen there and make our character feel like they were designed in that era. Also, another good reason is nowadays superheroes are being very big in pop culture. Everyone knows who Superman is. Everyone knows who the Flash is. And when players see those aspects in our characters, they'll feel more familiar with them. They'll see the Superman-like traits in Major Marvelous. They'll see the Flash-like traits in Lightspeed Last. And they'll already know the basis of the character before they even get into the game. Now, to bring these characters to life on the page, we had a few different steps that we went through. First, we thought it would be really cool if every character kind of had a different shader and art style from their decade and all came together. However, it was a really big art risk, and the styles didn't mesh well with each other, so we decided to cut that. Next, we wanted to go for a more kid-friendly, chibi-type art style. However, that really didn't match our target demographic, and the models would have been very strange to animate. So we didn't go with that. Finally, we wanted to go for a more stylized art style, like seen in a lot of modern superhero cartoons today, where they're able to have a new, fresh-looking art style, but still keep the feel of old, iconic characters. So that's where we went. And then, after drawing our characters of Major Marvelous Lightspeed Last in that style, and then playing with some art schemes, we got the Major Marvelous and Lightspeed Last you see today. For environments, it was a lot easier because we decided all we really needed was simple environments, not too high detail, more stylized to look like the comic book decades that each stage is based off of, which is how we put together the cityscape that you saw today. Now, QA testing was a really important part to this project, and we have to take a second and thank our testers, because we went to testing so much that our testers logged a total of over 130 hours on this project, and we would not have been able to get where we are today without them, with their great feedback and just their positive energy altogether. Now, going forward into next semester, because we want to add in 4 more characters with their own animations, unique abilities, and for this semester we used motion capture data, which is free to use. We wanted to move away, but we want to move away from that, so we really want to focus on getting an animator who could definitely help bring these characters to life and create animations that can make them feel like their own. We would also really like a 3D modeler who could create our characters, create our environments, and bring the Superverse to life. We would also really need a producer. I've been acting producer, but we'd prefer someone who'd be able to handle large teams, and so I can step down and focus on systems design. However, if we cannot get one, we would like a systems designer to focus on systems, and I will completely focus on producing. On top of these needs, it would also be really helpful if we could get just another general artist to tighten up all the little odds and ends, the GUI, help with environments, just someone who's very well-rounded. It would also be helpful if we could get someone who is an audio designer who is focused on music. I can do sound effects, I can do voice editing, but I have no skill in music. And we'd like someone who can really create soundtracks that just leave a mark. We'd also prefer a game designer who could help Eric and I, help with systems while I work on audio, help Eric flesh out the narrative, and help design the rest of the environments. Also, finally, it would really help if we could get a programmer, one that's specifically focused in graphics to help create all those graphical effects that you usually see in fighting games, combos, particles, to really bring the game together. With all those together, we could finally see the Superverse grow.